we have a collector who comes and does this for us. Number two, though composting is a natural process and does not require a lot of effort, why aren't many people adopting this practice? So these two questions I would request Samita to address with her demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rupa. Thank you. So very quickly, of course, I'd not like to talk about why waste management. It has already been covered by speakers before me. So it all boils down to sustainable consumption. And we all know that food comprises of 60% of the waste that we generate at home. Remaining is approximately 40%, which comprises of dry waste, including plastic, paper. We also saw how we can actually reduce plastic waste. Then there's a lot of e-waste that we generate, which is about 10%, and then about 10% waste, which is discard, which we can't recycle at home. But there's so many alternatives these days which are available. For example, there's so many sanitary pads alternatives which are available in the market. So it all boils down to responsible consumption. Now, after we've done our responsible consumption, so there is some part of, and if you've done responsible cooking also, so there is some part of the waste which is still left, and this waste can be converted into a beautiful potting soil. Now, compost is of course pure compost, which is just made out of the kitchen waste, but the process which we make compost at home gives us potting soil. Now, a lot of people do not, a lot of people think that composting is a very tedious task. It takes a lot of time and it can create a lot of stink and smell. And trust you me, in this process right now, I'm going to show you a simple technique. It is called the sandwich technique. And if you use that, it will just take less than a minute of your time. Some of you who also want to time it later on can also do that. And see, it doesn't take more than a minute of your time. So it takes lesser time than cleaning, washing, all the mopping in the house. So all it takes is that we need to have a two-bin culture. That's it. All right. So once we have a two-bin culture, all we just have to do is one bin, which is a recyclable bin. We give it to the collector who comes every day. And it also makes their livelihood much better, because at the end of the day, they have to manually segregate it. They don't have gloves, they don't have masks. And by the time the waste is all mixed up, then it is so difficult to segregate. Just imagine, let's say all your masalas get mixed up. How difficult it will be for you to segregate it separately into different containers. It's a very tedious task. Similarly, with the waste, if we kind of segregate it and sort it, it won't take a lot of time. So here I have a composter for the demonstration. But before that, you need about 3 things for composting. Of course, number 1, you need kitchen waste. Okay, so this is my kitchen waste for the day. You need some coco peat. So this is very easily and readily available. You can purchase it from Amazon. I know Sharmila said that we are living in a world where we can do without Amazon. You can purchase it from Amazon. You can purchase it from a local nursery as well. There are a lot of garden shops in the cities these days. You can purchase it from there. Or you can use dry leaves. The only thing with dry leaves is that your composting time takes a little longer. So if you are in no rush, you don't have a space constraint, then you can go for dry leaves as well. We get them plenty. Usually during fall, you can collect all the dry leaves in a sack and keep it, and you can use it eventually. So these are the only 2 things that you need to start composting. Now, there are a lot of composting options available in the market. So there are a lot of kinds of composting ways. One is vermicompost, second is anaerobic, and the third is aerobic. Now, vermicompost requires us to use earthworms. Now, it is very difficult for us to compost in an urban setup using worms, is purely because worms are very sensitive. So, for example, if you put lemons, or you put orange peels, or you put cooked food, then the earthworms usually don't survive. Then the second is anaerobic. Now, anaerobic is purely digging pits. Now, we all live in apartments. It's not possible for us to do that, and also creates a lot of stink and smell. So the best way to compost is using aerobic composting. Now for aerobic composting, what you need is you need a minimum of 2 containers. Now here I've used a terracotta container, and these terracotta containers have holes. Now aerobic composting is also takes about 4 things. Number one, you need a container with holes, so there's a lot of air circulation around it. You need your kitchen waste, which is rich in nitrogen. You need carbon. Now, where does carbon come from? Like I said, carbon can come from cocoa peat or carbon can come from dry leaves. And there's some carbon which is already there in our food, but we still need to add more. The fourth thing that is needed in composting is moisture. Now, where does moisture come from? The moisture comes from our kitchen waste itself. Our kitchen waste is nearly 60 to 70% of water. So if you look at technically, all you just need is your kitchen waste and carbon. If you have a container with holes, air circulation gets taken care of on its own, moisture gets taken care of on its own, and all you just need to do is add the kitchen waste and top it up with cocoa peat or a layer of kitchen waste. Layer of leaves. Now, any questions up till now about what do you need to start composting? So clear, right? So what I've done is, this is my container. I just set my, can you see my container now?
Yes.
So what I've done is, because there's a mesh at the bottom, so put a newspaper. So put a layer of newspaper. So like I said, we'll be using a sandwich technique. So what I'm going to do is, first I will put some cocoa peat, because there's nothing at the base right now. So I'll put some cocoa peat at the base. So I've set the base. Okay. And on top of it, I'll put my kitchen waste. So here's my kitchen waste for the day. It has banana peels, it has all the fruit peels, okay, all the tea leaves, lemon peels, all of it has gone into it. And on top of it, I will sprinkle some cocoa peat again. Now, the best part about using cocoa peat is, especially if we live in a very busy life, with cocoa peat, we don't need to do any stirring. We don't need to rake it up. With dry leaves, what happens is we have to constantly rake up our kitchen waste, but with cocoa peat, we don't have to. So I am done for the day. So this is all it takes for composting to start happening. Now, next day again, I'm going to repeat the process till my container is completely filled up. Once my container is filled up, I will leave it for 30 days for it to turn into compost. Now, this is how the compost really looks like. So this is my compost, and it just smells. If you smell it, I hope you were doing an in-person session. If you could smell it, it just smells like soil which smells after the first rain. So it gives a very beautiful aroma. It just turns into dark, crumbly matter, and everything is composted. Now, this soil is actually a potting soil, which basically means that you can actually grow a lot of your vegetables directly into it. Now, 80% of plants in my house do not have soil. All my plants, whether they're ornamentals or they are, green leafy vegetables, tomatoes, whatever I'm growing at home, is all being grown in this soil. And it doesn't require a mali also, because it doesn't require raking, because soil tends to clamp up. So we need to constantly rake it, aerate it, so that the root gets enough oxygen supply. With this, you don't have to do that. The second best part is that your pots become extremely light. We usually have to shuffle plants in seasons so that they get sunlight, or we have to reduce the sunlight intake for the plants to survive. If you're using this kind of potting soil, your plants also become very light for you to move them around the house. You can bring the indoor plants out, you can bring the outdoor plants inside, so much easier. So much benefit, right? First of all, we're taking away 60% of waste, which was earlier going to landfill, creating so much of methane, adding to the greenhouse gases, and heat, creating hot waves around the world. That's one. Second of all, we're also improving the livelihood of the people who come and collect our waste. So because for them, all this recyclable material, it's just so much easier for them to sort it and then give it to organizations. For example, at the end of the recycling chain, there could be companies like, for example, Reliance. They would be purchasing it to produce polymer for cloth manufacturing. So, once we, sort it, it's just so much easier for them. And then just imagine how much less waste will go to the landfills. We will not need space to create landfills. And like Sharmila said, currently in the video, it showed that our water bodies are all polluted, our land is polluted, irrespective of the fact if a farmer says, okay, I want to do organic farming, he still has to rely on water. And if the water is polluted, how on earth is he going to grow organic food? If the soil is polluted, how on earth is he going to grow organic? So this all leads to circular consumption. If we start practicing responsible consumption at home, responsible disposal of waste, then just imagine how much positive impact that we can bring to our environment, and in just less than a minute of your time per day. That's it, right? So, and it also creates a beautiful ecosystem, right? So once you plant, for example, I call my compost Santa Claus, because the moment you sprinkle it in your plants, there's something or the other which comes out. There will be tomatoes springing out. There will be some. Recently, I had such beautiful peppers which came out. And every day I kind of pluck about 2 or 3 peppers from my vegetables or salad every day. And I did not plant a single seed. And eventually you start realizing it. So I had peppers, I had green chilies, I have tomatoes grow like weed in my house. So, so much our compost gives back to us. It all just takes less than a minute of your time. So any questions over here on composting, any myths? And yeah, a lot of people think it's stinky and smelly. Like I said, if you use coco peat, it won't create any stink and smell, and you don't even need to rake it, because coco peat is light. It allows for the air circulation to happen. It is always better to use a terracotta composter rather than plastic, because plastic doesn't allow a lot of evaporation. So a lot of people who have used plastic in the past have given up composting, because it creates stink and smell. But if you drill a lot of holes in it, then probably a lot of evaporation will happen, and that problem can also be sorted. And plus, you can use a little bit more coco peat there. Yeah, because coco peat will also soak up that excess moisture. So, yeah, any questions?
Yeah, so